Hi guys, Matt from Westbox Gaming here with part 2 of my Imperial Fists army overview. This is for the elite section, so there'll be some Terminators and Contemptors and such. I've tried to add a few tactics in. I'm not really sure how well they'll go because I'm not that great, but I hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much.
These are the first 5 of my Cataphractii Terminators. They're all the plastic models out of Betrayal at Calth. I think they're pretty good. They're fairly static, but they're not too bad. I've magnetised all of the different weapon options, so there is a large variety of choice to be had. As you can see, they've both got heavy flame. The squad's got heavy flamers, or rather a heavy flamer. That's just because that's all that comes in the box, and I haven't yet bought anything new, but it's quite easy to switch them out when I want to. And I tend to run a mixture of Lightning Claws, Power Fists, and a couple of Chain Fists. You can see one there on the Sergeant, and again on the chap next to him. Just because I like them to be as utilitarian as possible, really. I like them to be able to adapt to whatever they need to. Historically, they've not particularly done very well, but I haven't really used them in all that many games. I think what I'll probably end up doing is deep striking them for the most part. I've got a squad of Tartarus Terminators to come out of a transport, which I'll show you in a minute. But I've got I bought 2 boxes of Betrayal at Calth, so I've got up to 10 of these guys if I want to. The other 5 will be coming up in a minute. And yeah, I just like the ability to mix and match as I need to, really. So that's pretty good. So this is the second set of 5. As you can see, they're basically the same. Little mixture: Chain Fist, a couple of Power Fists, and Lightning Claws, Heavy Flamer. Just means I can mix and match as I need to, make the squads bigger if I want to. Or just run it as 2 10-mans, 2 5-mans even. So yeah, it just gives me a couple of options. I would like to switch out the heavy flamers, probably for auto cannons, just to give them a bit more shooty. But yeah, we'll see in the future. Here we have the Tartarus squad. I've done them in black because I like the idea of potentially being Templar Brethren, maybe just in Terminator armour. They are very black in the video. They are highlighted, I promise. All with Volkite chargers and Lightning Claws, just because I've got the other squad with the Power Fist and the Chain Fist, the Cataphractii, to take on vehicles and such, whereas these guys should just be infantry shredders. I tend to, actually the one occasion I've run these guys, they've been in a Land Raider, and that, or potentially in a Spartan with a few characters and Primus Medicae and such, is basically the way I'd run them. Just straight up the middle. And I apologise for the judderiness of the focus. It seems to be okay for the most part, and then suddenly just disappears. Yeah, just run them straight up the middle, and or up a flank, and just start mincing their way through as many infantry models as they can. They should be pretty effective at it. Unfortunately, in the only game they've played so far, they went up against completely the wrong target for them and paid the price quite heavily. But fingers crossed next time they'll be a bit better. Next up we have 5 of my Templar Brethren. I do have a full squad of 10, but these are the ones I think are the best ones, especially with the poses on these ones. The other ones are all quite static. As you can see, they've all got combat shields, and the Sergeant, who's actually currently at the back, has a Solarite Power Gauntlet. I like that combination of the storm shield, of the combat shields rather, with the Artificer armor that they come with, because that fundamentally makes them Terminators in combat, which is always a good thing. Tactics wise, I run them either as a squad of 8 with a Primus Medicae and Sigismund in a Land Raider, or I've run them as a 10 with Sigismund and a Primus Medicae and a Spartan. I think basically just get them into the enemy as quick as you can, really. Get them chopping stuff into little pieces, which is what they're for. I like the Solarite Power Gauntlet on the Sergeant, just so, sorry about that, just so he can challenge out anybody, and it gives you some AP1, whereas they're all limited to their power swords, obviously AP3, so it just gives you that little bit of an option. There's the Sergeant coming around now with his fist. And once again, the upgrade kits from Forge World are very, very nice. I'm a big fan of all of the Imperial Fist stuff from Forge World, actually. When we get to the Phalanx Warders in a later video, I'll probably be raving about them for a while because they are pretty fantastic. But yeah, tactically, just get these guys up. If you've got Sigismund with them, charge them into the Warlords unit. Almost regardless of what the Warlords unit is equipped with, even with if they're in Terminator armor, the sheer number of attacks that these guys can put out at weapon skill 5, it'd be an initiative 5 if they're charging with Sigismund. They've got Furious Charge as well, which is always handy. So yeah, they're pretty good. Or just get them mincing their way through normal troops, power armor, and they'll murder pretty much anything. So they're pretty cool. Next up we'll have my 2 apothecaries. There we go, 2 apothecaries. Not finished yet, as you can see, especially by this one here, and a little bit blurry, a little bit messy rather, on some of the paint jobs, but they still need a bit of touching up. But I do very much like the Forge World kit with the different marks of armour, the one in Mark 4 and the one in Mark 2. And I just run these guys as standard apothecaries, generally in Artificer armour, sometimes with augury scanners, as you will have seen in the 6,000 point game that we played recently. Augury scanners on these guys, but I don't tend to give them any other upgrades because they're really just there to give a unit feel no pain, and that's pretty much what they do, and just be an extra source of Artificer armour on top of the Sergeants. So, but yeah, they're pretty cool models. I do like them. Again, Forge World doing really well with the Heresy Marines. So let's get on to Dreadnoughts, I guess. Unfortunately, my standard box Dreadnoughts, the Castroferrum patterns, aren't finished enough for me to be comfortable putting them on here. The Contemptors are alright, so they'll come up next. Right, so firstly we have the Contemptor, or on occasion Contemptor Mortis, with 2 Keres Pattern Assault Cannons. It's the Forge World Imperial Fist specific Contemptor, and he's pretty awesome. Very, very nice model. Love the detail on him. I haven't used this guy all that much, and when I do it tends to be as a Mortis, so he's not all that effective in general. He tends to get sort of focused down quite early because Alex and Will have come to fear him in games that unfortunately were done before we started recording. He's had quite some success against flyers coming in from reserve, and some deep striking, drop podding stuff as well. He's been fairly effective against. I think what I'll probably do with this guy in the future is run him just as a standard Contemptor with the 2 Keres cannons. As much as I like the helical targeting array that the Mortis gets, which gives him Skyfire and Interceptor if he doesn't move, it does mean you feel like you can't move just in case, and I prefer my Dreadnoughts moving up the table. So I might try and find a Cyclone missile launcher of some description, pop it on his shoulders, and just run him up the board with his assault cannons firing left, right and centre, really. He makes quite a good support for my other 2 Contemptors, which are coming up now, so I think that could work. And when we get to the heavy support section of the set of videos, you'll see I've got a Deredeo, so I don't really need this guy as a Mortis anymore, because the Deredeo can cover it much better. So let me grab the Contemptors and we'll have a quick look at them. Here we have my 2 Contemptor Dreadnoughts. I tend to run them as a 2 Dreadnought Talon for the most part, just because it frees up an elite slot and lets me mess around with other things, Terminators and Templars and such. They are just the plastic models from Betrayal at Calth, but I think they're good enough for the tabletop, and what I'll probably do is end up running these as the Quartus version, and get some more Forge World Contemptors to run as standard models. I have magnetised the ranged weapon arms on this, so I have obviously 2 sets of Betrayal at Calth, so I have 2 Carey's cannons and 2 multi-melters available, should I so desire, but for the most part I tend to run them as one of each. And yeah, they seem to be doing alright, and I think with making them Quartuses in the future, they'll be that much cheaper, so I'll be a little bit less worried about protecting them, if that makes any sense. I can just let them leg it up the table and just start beating face if I get lucky, I suppose. But I think they've come out alright. They're not the best painted models in the world, but I think they look fairly effective on the board. Yeah, so they're alright. So that's my elite slots. I do, as I say, have 3 standard dreadnoughts, I guess they would be, the Castroferrum big boxy types, and I quite like running those as well, but unfortunately I've not got around to finishing those off yet. So I think I've got, what, these 2 Contemptors, the Mortis, or the Dual Carries one, the 3 normal guys, 2 Leviathans, and a Deredeo. So I'm currently up to 9 dreadnoughts. I will be getting more because everybody loves a dreadnought, and yeah, that's the plan. So hope you enjoyed that one. If you've got any comments, if you'd like to see anything in closer detail, any questions, please feel free to let me know. And next section, I guess, will be troops, which is slightly less interesting, but yeah, we'll get there in due course. Thanks very much. Like, comment and subscribe. I hope you enjoy our battle reports. If you're into PC gaming as well, check out Hubristics channel. That's Will, our resident Necron, Dark Angel, Space Wolf, Khorne Demonkin player. There's some pretty cool stuff on there too. Cool. Thanks very much, and I'll catch you in the next one.